Hello everyone, it's Karen here with the midweek reflection for Wednesday the 31st of January. Well, we've come to the end of January, the first month of the year all done already. People say that it's the most depressing month of the year, but I quite like January because it's a time of new beginnings and fresh starts. And you've heard me say it before, I like setting goals and trying to make changes or resolutions to make progress and improve myself. I make New Year's resolutions, then again I make promises at Lent, and then I like to make a fresh start in August for the start of the new school year. It's also a time when people vow to make a change in their lives, and it's a time for planning ahead. Did you get a new diary or calendar for Christmas? That helps us plan ahead. I got 2 calendars this year. One I bought for myself, the church art group one with paintings of Forfar. This one here with the picture of the botanist's garden painted by Margaret Forbes. That's my favourite of the paintings, and one that I received as a gift from my niece and nephew. And this is my favourite photograph of them. These calendars will help me plan ahead during 2024. I also use the calendar function on my phone all the time for keeping a record of dates, and I use the Outlook calendar for work, and I also have a paper diary. I like to be organised. So in January, people might plan and book a holiday. They might start planning a wedding, or planning to buy a new house, or plan to find a new job, lose some weight, take more exercise, start a course. We often make plans to make changes in our lives because we think about what the good outcome will be. I spent some time over Christmas and New Year planning ahead. I planned some of the events that the church will be organising with the community team. One of those events took place last weekend, the fundraising and awareness raising weekend for the charity Social Bite. I planned a couple of trips away. I planned to go with work to China in July and then Budapest with the church in October. And I also planned my research proposal for the part-time masters that I'm working towards. I plan on finishing the top modules of the course by the summer and starting my dissertation in October. I also planned how my living room will be once it is redecorated next week. So planning ahead gives us a target to work towards. It gives us that feeling of control, and it helps us feel organised and that we've got something to look forward to, and that change can be good. Change, when it happens unexpectedly though, can make us feel like we lack control, and it can feel uncomfortable. We like to plan ahead, and we don't like when things don't go according to plan. There are many proverbs and idioms about planning ahead, being prepared, and making changes. A stitch in time saves 9. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. The best laid plans of mice and men. To turn over a new leaf. Let's take stock. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's make a fresh start, and so on. But even when it's unexpected, change can be a good thing. It can either help make things better and improve things, and if it doesn't, it can teach us something that we can learn from. Changes can be difficult at the time, when people disagree on how things should be, or they don't like someone else's plans, or something happens that they weren't prepared for. Change is uncomfortable. It takes us out of the familiar and makes us do things that we haven't done before or aren't good at. Change can be scary. But change can be good. Staying the same and never changing what you do can be boring, and that's when people start to stagnate and get into a rut. Remember the saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Think of the changes that have happened in our church in the last few years. Firstly, we got rid of our organ, and that made people uncomfortable. Then we got rid of the pews. Then we completely renovated the whole church building. We sold the church hall and then the BB hall. All of these things caused upset and felt difficult at the time, but the change was for the good. Would we be without our fabulous church building now? Of course we wouldn't. Then there was the discussion about East and Old Church uniting with Inverarity Church. Was that uncomfortable? Yes. Did people have to change the way they did things? Yes. But East and Old and Inverarity churches uniting as one was definitely a good thing and only makes us all stronger together. Finally, the biggest and most recent change, which I'm sure you're waiting on, is the loss of our amazing minister Barbara Ann. Again, people are sad and disappointed and uncomfortable, as we don't know what's in store for us, and we don't like change. We all know Barbara Ann and knew her vision and what she wanted us to do. Now we don't know where we're headed or what will happen, and that feels uncomfortable for many people. But one thing that never changes is God, and He will always be by our side. So I have a few Bible verses to read to you today. Firstly, from the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 8. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. So that gives us hope and reassurance. God is with us and will never change. And He does hear our prayers, and He will guide us to where we need to be in our search for a new minister. God has a plan for us, and while it might feel uncomfortable right now, we need to trust God's plan and trust the changes it will bring. The second verse is from the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. So we must pray to God and ask Him to help us through this period of change. And finally, to end today's reflection, from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. So my message today is, even when change feels uncomfortable and we don't know what's in the future, let's keep faith, let's trust in God's plan to bring us a new minister to East, Old and Inverarity Parish. Have a nice week, everyone.